wasting my time.
I will maintain the utmost respect for human life.
Hello everyone, my name is Sir Eat A Lot and we are going to finally make a video about Lynn, and this is going to be a very long discussion, so I'll try to keep it as simple as possible in terms of explanation. Anyways, without further ado, let's get started guys. So, first things first guys, in Lynn, right? Lynn is, first of all, we need to understand what the character, how she works, right? First of all, for everybody that is interested in maining Lynn. Now,
Who's the
here
target today?
is the perks that we need to know about Lynn. Alright, so the facts are, she's a DPS, she is a Consonance Weapon character, and at the same time, weapon damage. So with the facts that we have already, we can already assume that she is mostly going to be using the weapon Hansel and Gretel on her ultimate. Alright, so let's focus on the stuffs that we need to know about the stats first on this character. First of all, I think she prioritizes pyro attack. She has some skill damage on her, skill duration, and skill efficiency. You will know the reason why my skill duration is it's almost 200% already, because some skills really need that and some skills actually scale off skill duration. But without further ado, let's go. So as a Lynn main, you're going to always apply Deadly Blossom in every fight. Of course, it applies Laceration, and when you apply Laceration, it has a damage over time effect with a debuff that makes the target take more range damage from you or anybody that's shooting it, right? Very useful skill, and it's also used for movement whenever you are using the ultimate Gunpowder Revelry. As for the Gunpowder Revelry, this is a Consonance Weapon ability, which you switch the range weapon to Hansel and Gretel, and in this state, you basically, everything in the screen gets shot. It's the most OP skill I've seen so far in Do It Night Abyss, and Lynn has been my main, and I have always been satisfied every time I use this skill. Very important that you guys know that this skill actually scales off skill duration on its sanity cost per second. So instead of investing in skill efficiency, how about invest in skill duration? And I'll be explaining it in a bit. Because on her passive called Tactical Rapid Fire, which is a core skill in her rotations, this is very important that we utilize this mechanic, because this mechanic gives us, or this passive gives us, a 12.8% damage boost per stack. So each stack with up to 6 gives us that. So 6 times 12.8 is around 76 point something in percentage, right? So it's a very high damage boost stack for Lynn. And on the other hand, when you apply Laceration, and after a while, if you reach the max count, which is 10 on Laceration, it will deal damage all at once. So you're supposedly, you will, within 30 seconds, you're supposed to do like what, 10k damage. But when you reach the max stacks, you do the 10k damage right away from the get-go. Very important, because this is going to be so important once Lynn is on Intron 6. Now, on to her last passive is just attack boost for allies. This is very important for you, but if you happen to have an ally that's pyro, then it's going to boost them as well. Now, as for the weapons, I have, well, the weapons can be a mix and match, right? You're not necessarily stuck with the sword. You're not necessarily stuck with the dual pistol. But as for the dual pistol, I think this is the best one so far for her, because this gives you dual pistol damage. And what do? You don't do damage on this pistol, but this pistol allows you to have that dual pistol buff in order to deal more damage when you're switching over to Hansel and Gretel on your ultimate. So this is a very good skill, or a very good weapon, to enable us to deal more damage whenever we just shoot this thing once and deal damage. As for the melee weapons, there's actually a lot of choices in the melee weapons. I personally went with the Pyrothirst for more skill duration, and you'll know the reason why. And I think a lot of people actually are, it depends on what you need and depends what you think is nice. There's some honorable mentions in here that I would like to mention as for the melee weapons, where the melee weapon goes. One of them is the sword called Reminiscent. Sorry, it's very hard to pronounce. This one, when you land a crit, it will give you sanity regen. So you have a chance to restore 3.0 sanity. It can be triggered every half a second, right? So it's good if you're running out of sanity every second. But I'll tell you, you don't need this because you will know the reason why. And it's the secret is on her on her rotation. Basically, you can use any weapons here. You can even use the blade amber glow if you want to just have, just basically more attack stats. Just basically a stat stick weapon. I mainly use the melee just to break shields because the melee weapon is a great sword. So it is a smash
Who's the
attack
target today?
type of damage, which is related to breaking stances on bosses. On to the Consonance Weapon. The Consonance Weapon, you can't really do anything on this. But yeah, basically this is the stats on it. So the highlighted stats are basically the forte of this weapon. It is the bread and butter. So make sure to note of that one, guys. But you can also go crit chance and crit damage. Okay. Now the demon wedges is currently a work in progress on my end. But if you guys are interested in copying my demon wedges, here are my demon wedges. And I'll be explaining why skill duration is like super must on this character. Now, this one we have this is Ifrit's Devouring Wildfire. Basically, it's more skill damage and gives your pyro character every time you deal damage. You have a stacking attack percentage every time you deal one, and then it stacks up to 120. It's good for fights that are you're always dealing damage, and it kind of is a the duration of the fight is long. And then the other one is pyro attack. I'm so tired. I just woke up. I literally woke up and break this video, so I'm very sorry. So this one is a pyro attack percentage, skill damage percentage, skill damage duration. All useful to you. We're going to use that. Another one is attack percentage and skill duration. You will see that I've been stacking two of them on this one, and I have Typhon's Prime Uplift. I am thinking about putting the Resolve version or the Moral version, but for me, I feel like this is the best one, in my opinion. More damage dealt, and then your AIs just do more damage, and when you're in multiplayer, your teammates also do more damage. I'm taking the Sphinx Duel because this one makes me deal more damage if there's only one enemy in the front. This is good for boss fights. Essentially, a damage boost when you are just fighting one monster that is like super tanky, and it's very useful because Lynn is already an AOE freaking god. But if you have this, then the AOE when you're only fighting one, it just makes it even better when you're dealing damage. And I have attack just to increase attack. So these are the current stats that she has. As for the weapons are kind of like subjective. It depends on what you really want to do. For me, I want to deal as much smash attack as possible and crit. So I went in and went for more attack speed, more crit chance, trigger probability, so I can trigger the smash attack bonus effect even faster. And just generally trying to make this weapon as a utility as much as possible in breaking stances. As for the weapon, it's also the same. Um, just slap anything that will probably trigger effect of the spike attack, and then just generally just damage. You don't really need to, because you're not spending a lot of time on this weapon anyways, so you don't need to really invest on this one. However, this is where it's most important, and there's two types of version in this build, guys. All right, there's one that's focused on crit chance and crit damage. I tried it. It's got a lot of nice burst. However, if Daphne dies or you don't have enough crit, I think at the moment it's preferred that we go more attack speed, trigger probability, and multi-shot, right? So I have two builds here. The one below is crit chance, crit damage. Alternatively, you can switch off attack speed and multi-shot and slap these two on. So if you are slapping all these two in here, then you are going to need Daphne. And once the MC hits Intron 6 level, the MC actually
The world
has the one of
outside
the most
Purgatorio Island
OP
defies all accounts.
freaking
More
level
expansive, yet
6 Intron
more
6
brutal.
here
This
that
cannot
gives
be
us
its
a lot
true
of
destiny.
crit chance
That's
buff.
why a change must be made.
Oh my god, he's still yapping. Okay. Yeah, he has 54% crit chance. On top of this, he provides weapon damage. Now, we are already talking about the teams, but later we're going to show them. But first, let me talk about the Intron skills in here. So the Intron skills, guys, it's very important that her spike is, I think, right here, right? But if you are heavily investing on Lynn, this is worth it because for some reasons, I'll explain why in later when I showcase the build's damage or the build's rotation. So, as you can see, this one on intrinsic Intron 1, it's okay because it grants you 6 preload, meaning the buff is already available from you at the start of the battle, and morale by 35%. I don't know why morale. It's okay. I think it's fine, but we don't really stack as much HP on Lin anyway, so I think this is like a small increase in damage. This one reduces the damage taken, which is quite nice, but you're most likely going to just properly do a proper placement on Lin anyway, so you won't really take any damage, and then you have a decrease of interval when you are gaining the attack boost. This one just basically upgrades the buff. And then this one is very, really good because any enemies below 70% of their HP, you deal 35% damage more. It's just straight up buff. Everybody that's 70% below, 35%. Nice. This one just upgrades Gunpowder Revelry and a Tactical Rapid Fire. But this one is where the best of Lin comes into play. Because remember, guys, we need to activate the skill in order to apply Laceration. You don't need to anymore. Because on Intron 6, the Gunpowder Revelry actually triggers it on its own. So you don't need to reapply the buff every now and then because you're just going to just activate the ultimate and then just shoot them. And it will always reapply, which is very, very, very nice. Now let's talk about the teams. Now there's a couple of teams you can go through when you play Lin. And this is my team. I will be getting for the MC, I will be getting the weapon, the Dreamweaver, I believe, that gives us more attack whenever he does damage on it or whenever he does crit on the assault rifle. But for the most part, I have him here for the duration, this weapon for the duration, and I have Daphne on the bow so she can provide more buffs to us. I'm using the dog Genimon that gives us pyro attack, and the weapons are like this. Okay. So as for weapon choices and character choices, basically you can switch off some of these characters. You can switch, right? So you can either put Tabitha in here with the bow, and then Daphne with the assault rifle that gives her duration, or alternatively you can also put here Truffle and Filbert with the bow, and then Daphne with the assault rifle still. But the reason why it's the MC instead of Truffle and Filbert or Tabitha is because there's a lot of stuffs in this set that he really affects it so good. And then an Intron 6 is just going to be a lock character for Lynn for sure. Okay. So the reason why is that Lynn on the skills, remember that we talked about this scaling of skill duration, and this one also is on skill duration. That's basically it. More skill duration meaning, guys, less sanity cost and more uptime on the ultimate. And this is going to be, more uptime on the passive. And it's going to be important later because it's going to be part of the core rotation on Lynn, or how I see her rotation is. So, let's talk about the MC first because Daphne already is self-explanatory.
Ready to deploy
She
at any
has a crit chance buff here, and then she has a buff here that will basically give you more anemo damage. It's very important to upgrade because this basically gives you more damage, I believe. Because she gives you like a passive anemo buff, which Lynn also deals anemo buff whenever Daphne is on the team. Or anybody, actually, in particular, if Daphne's on those teams. But basically, let's talk about the MC. He's going to yap a lot.
Island defies all accounts.
Oh my god.
More expansive, yet more brutal. This cannot be its true destiny. That's why a change must be made.
Okay, he's done. So, the Flayer here is the most important buff on this character, and at the same time, the Dawn Beyond Light, I believe, but let me check. No, it's just the Flayer. So, okay. The Flare. What does the Flare do? The Flare gives you increase weapon damage by 35% on current level that I am currently in. And the duration is quite decent as well, around 16 seconds. Now, at the same time, it also gives you a shield. So if you want to increase the shield that the MC gives, you could just slap a lot of skill damage on him, but I personally give him more duration instead because of I'm after his buff. And at the same time, on his passive below, this gives you a trigger probability boost of 100%. The reason why this is very important because trigger probability is the stat that is required to trigger bonus effects. And on if you are, and this is just an if you are a Lynn that's Intron 6, this Gunpowder Revelry, let's read this out. During Gunpowder Revelry, when triggering bonus effect, when using Hansel and Gretel, inflicts laceration on the target for 8 seconds. This is when triggering bonus effect. So this is going to be even effective if you have the MC in here because of the probability boost. It's so good, and I will showcase it later, guys. All right, the gameplay on this one, but it's just basically it, right? But again, the alternate weapons for Lynn could be, if you don't like playing Blue Current Pulse, which I highly recommend play this one, you can actually go for the other pistol, which is this one, which is quite nice as well. Skill damage straight up. It's, you know, the rotation will be a bit simpler and, you know, no headache. This one is also kind of okay. The problem is this is a dual pistol focused build. Like, this is the build, right? And Lynn's going to most likely use Hansel and Gretel instead, and this is only going to just give us some probably just damage overall. So we don't need this because we're not gonna do damage in this anyways, right? So we need the blue current pulse. It's just best. Now, what else haven't I been talking about? Let's go for the gameplay, right? Let's go for the gameplay. Let me go to the events here. Let me go to the immersive theater, and then I can just show you on. I'm stuck on Act 6 at the moment. But when I reach 55 and 70, maybe I can clear it all the way to 12. But at the moment, I am stuck here because the boss is just too tanky now.
This time, we'll make it back safely.
Okay.
Let's go!
So what I do with Lynn, and there's a couple of things that we could actually do, and I want to talk about the mechanics first. So on playing Lynn, this mechanic that I'll teach right now is very, very important to gain an advantage on positions. So sometimes you can take high positions and then just ulti.
Now I'm mad.
You can do that. But at the same time, you can also do this. So if you don't know this movement trick, you can either aim up and then do a helix jump, press Control and space, or for console, I think just press the stick button. And for mobile, I don't know how. Good luck. But basically, if you aim up, you can just gain a higher vantage point and then you can ulti right away. Or you can aim down, which is better, and then go straight from the ulti. I will be showcasing it later, alright? But take note of that one, that this is a mechanic available. It's going to be useful for people that are going to be maining Lynn or going to be using Lynn. I'm going to showcase the battle here. Okay, first things first, do not activate the ultimate right away unless the enemies are already gathered up. So this one's gathered up. What we're going to do is we're going to shoot the pistol first, and then jump up, and then ultimate, and then press Z, and then that's it, right? So let's do it. So shooting the pistol first, jump, Q, and then let the magic happen. There we go. Okay. The reason why I stopped and didn't just continue shooting is because the tactical reload passive is loading up. So just a pro tip, I have 150 stamina right now, or sanity right now. I don't really need to spam the ultimate or stay on it as long as I could, right? You could just, okay, shooting, ulti, see the buff below. That's basically your timer to when you're going to stop using the Gunpowder Revelry. So at 0 seconds, we're going to cancel it out and then wait for it to get buffed. Alternatively, while you're waiting for enemies or waiting for the passive to go up, you can just try to really reposition yourself and think where would be the enemy gathering next. So that's a good thing to also note. You can just reposition, you can just jump around, and then, you know, probably think about your next strategy on this one. But basically the strategy is wait for the buff, shoot, jump, and then ulti, and then just shoot. And then stop once the skill is already, or the buff is already gone. And then afterwards, if the buff is ready, jump again, ult again. And take note, your AoE is limited to what you are seeing. So see as much as possible. As much as possible, get every single enemy into the screen. That's why we jump, because we can see them better like this. My guy has fallen though. I'm just going to finish this round and then we'll be concluding the video. You can also reposition with the E, by the way. That's basically it. That's how you do it. And then we're going out. So, as you can see, guys, the combination of the blue current pulse with the helix jump mechanic that we just done, and then the ultimate, and then just Intron 6 magic right there. But take note that if you're not Intron 6, before you jump, or before you shoot, actually, apply the debuff to the rest of the enemy. And then once every enemy has a debuff now, shoot and then jump. There's a process first, right? If you are someone that's not Intron 6, what you were doing is like, you're gonna apply the debuff first to the enemies, apply as much as possible, and then you jump, and then you ult. It's going to be a bit manual, but if you are Intron 6 Lynn, it's going to be much easier when it comes to the rotations. But anyways, guys, that's my video. Thank you so much for watching. GG's. See you on the next one. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch, and I'm always live on TikTok and on Twitch, guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.